Do you remember when Michael Bloomberg, who was a Republican, and one of his most shameful acts as a Republican, wanted to regulate sodas in New York City? He wanted to say no more big gulps because he got out there and he went, guys, hi, I'm Michael Bloomberg. This is my daughter. I shouldn't be making fun of, this is my wife. This is my son. The thing about Jewish men, powerful Jewish men, is that are very smart, very successful, is there's a game you can play called Gay or Jewish Man, because they come from matriarchal houses, and there's just something where they're just kind of, they can be like that and then crush your nuts in business, and they'll do it like that. And he'll go, fucking, I'm Bloomberg, and it's going down. But yeah, I mean, he would have his loafers on, and he was like, listen, everyone's getting diabetes, and this is bad. It's a burden on the healthcare session. It's a healthcare session. And we should regulate this stuff. Nobody should be able to get a big gulp. And you know what Americans did? Americans rioted. They said, what the fuck? You want to take my big family-sized container of sugar water, of tropical fruit, which isn't a real fruit flavor, away from me? What are you, a commie? That's my freedom. If I want to spend half of my life in a wheelchair with swollen purple ankles and uncut toenails because I can't feel my feet, that's my business.
The only doctor I want to go to is Pepper.
Yeah, that's my fucking business. And all he was trying to do was to get rid of that obscenely big American... Dude, do you have... When you get a venti from Starbucks, is there any part of you... Is there any French or European part of us? When they come here and they order a coffee, like when a French comes here and orders a coffee and they go, can I get a venti? Or because that's their language or whatever, right? Is it in Latin or... Isn't that funny that we're supposed to be European pretentious with the sizes, call it venti or ponte or whatever it's called, but then they hand you a big gulp size coffee? Does anyone need a iced coffee the size of a beer cooler? How big is the venti?
It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
20 ounces, I think.
it's for a family of 6.
It's bigger than our heads combined.
It's for a family of 6. And then the big gulps, I mean, the big gulps were like laughably big. It shouldn't, it's a crime. It would be a crime to give a 12-year-old. It's a crime. And here's the thing. I mean, you're supposed to go, 12-year-old's personal responsibility. You can't regulate freedom. Don't even regulate. It's like he's 12. He's a dumb 12-year-old. 12-year-olds like Jared love sugar.
We love it.
I remember going to the candy store and I loved it, right? You don't know that what's being sold to you and marketed to you is cancer sugar water, is cocaine for kids in slushy form. You just know it tastes good, and you know it's refreshing because it's a hot day, and it's got ice in it.
You give me some Fun Dip in the summertime?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we treated that like it was Ozempic.
Exactly. Yeah. How much sugar is in the average Starbucks drink, you might ask?
30 to 35 grams of sugar.
That's a lot of shug.
For reference, this is about 7 to 9 teaspoons of sugar, or just slightly less than the average amount of sugar in one soda.
That's because you have to say no classic. My wife told me they give you the sugar automatically. It's like the sugar in the McDonald's bread that you don't even know is there, right? Because they're addicting you. They know they're addicting you. Now, I don't know if people think that their reason or the marketplace or whatever is stronger than when people just give you drugs without you knowing it. But let me tell you something. You're not. Nobody is. Nobody is. The free market, laissez-faire capitalism, you're not going to be able to go, you know what, I'm just going to shop somewhere else. Why? Because you're going to be fucking addicted to that fucking Whopper. Have you ever had a Whopper after you haven't had a Whopper for a long time? It tastes good for 3 seconds, and then you feel like absolute dog shit. It's like the worst thing ever.
Mm-hmm. It's like walking into your mother-in-law's house.
Yeah, it's horrific. It's an experience. It's almost as bad as that. I love my mother-in-law, though. But usually, yeah. And
great haircuts, by the way.
Yes. Well, sometimes. It's not easy to break up with your mother-in-law as a barber when she's like in the same house, and then you just keep coming home with haircuts. Eventually, there's just going to be have to have a conversation. Like, I'm seeing someone new. I don't know how to do this, but you know, your cuts were inconsistent. You know, it's an interesting thing. Like, you know, it's addiction. They're feeding you drugs. Why are they doing it? Because it's dude, it's the best thing for business. Nobody's ever explored the fact that like almost every advertisement and every company's trying to addict you. They're trying to sell you on the need for getting you on. Every social media company has turned their product into a drug.
It's the fastest path to more money.
And here's the thing. They are very aware of it. It's not like they're going like, whoa, really? So is that what they did a study and they found out that it's releases endorphins and dopamine hits? And
We didn't know that.
we didn't know. Cigarettes are going, really? We thought it relaxed doctors. We thought it relaxed doctors when they had to do all these house calls. We thought just pulling out a Camel and lighting it up right on the stoop after a doctor tried to do CPR on a dying 12-year-old with scurvy. And he just walked out tired. You could just picture him in his 1940s suspenders just sitting down on the front stoop of a city block in Chicago. And he sits down, he rolls up his sleeve, and he goes, and the wife, of course, because she's a good housewife in the 40s and 50s, you know, even though her daughter just died in the arms of this doctor of scurvy, of plague, she still wanted to do the good housewife American thing and offer him some Jell-O cake. Would you like some Jell-O cake? And can I offer you some iced tea? And she'd come out with a little, you know, even though the dead daughter's upstairs, she offered him a drink, and he'd be sitting there and go, yeah, and he'd pull out a cigarette, and she'd just light it up for him. She'd go, thank you, Doc. You did everything you could. And then, I did my best. Thank God I can relax with this Camel. Thank God I got my lucky strike. Even the name, Lucky Strike. It's a lucky strike. It gets in there. This is your luck. This was your lucky day. Look at these ads, Jared. These used to be legal ads. A health cigar. These are doctors. Look at that.
20,679 physicians say Luckies are less irritating.
Now, here's the best part. Look at this one. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Now, here's the best part. The best part is this was after they completely knew that cigarettes kill you. Let the marketplace work itself out. Here's a good one. Here's a baby on a Marlboro, and it's a card. It's a fake Hallmark card. It says, "Gee, Dad, you always get the best of everything, even Marlboro." Now you're going, why is a baby in that ad? Oh, because it tugs at your heartstrings. You see a baby, it makes you feel good. Just like I just got that text, and it was horrific, and it was like a horror story, and I thought of my mother. That's how the subconscious works, and that's why advertisers work, because they are aware of our subconscious. You know, they can get you to believe things that aren't real, they aren't true. So imagine you're sitting there, you're coughing, you go after you smoked a pack of cigarettes. Possibly you got high blood pressure, and you're sitting there and you're coughing, and you have this cognitive dissonance going, man, it must be must be allergies out there. Right after you light up a cigarette, because the doctors prescribed and said this is good for me. So I wonder what this could be. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe I inherited. Maybe my wife's making me upset again. Maybe I need to go in and cure it by giving her a backhand in the kitchen again. Because last time I smacked my wife, I felt better. Last time I gave her a good backhand, the coughs just mysteriously went away. So it's got to be her. You know, Eve ate the apple. It's really their fault. And the cigarettes are the good thing. You know? For decades, people believe that because they're, you know, here's the best part about advertising. They wouldn't lie to you on the sign, would they? Here's another one. Viceroy's, filter the smoke. As your dentist, I would recommend Viceroy's. Is there any better encapsulation of the evil of the advertising industry than old cigarette ads? This is the fucking LeBron James in Sprite of its day.
Yeah, it makes it seem like the dentist was paid off by the mob.
Yeah, and you know what's great, dude, is that study, like I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but that study that sugar causes cancer came out like a couple of years ago, and nobody cared. It's very interesting. It's for some reason it didn't have the same effect as the cigarette industry. I guess because you don't cough after you drink a Sprite. You just become 300 pounds. You know, but it's not a cough.
And sugar is so addicting that you don't care.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, cancer.net, I don't know if that's the best place to go, Jess.
No studies in people have shown that reducing sugar intake prevents or treats cancer.
Scroll
This
down.
message has been brought to you by the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, this message has been brought to you by the sugar lobby.
It's true that sugar feeds every cell in our body, even cancer cells, but research shows that eating sugar doesn't necessarily lead to cancer.
Yeah, doesn't lead to it, but yeah, there's an indirect link. There is, however, an indirect link between sugar and cancer. Okay, however, the sugar lobby wanted it to be worded, and that's the thing. Then there's lobby groups. So all these companies have PR arms and lobby groups that fight with the legislation.
They don't have arms because they got cut off.
They got cut off. Yeah. And so they go, okay, we'll settle with indirect link. Good enough for us.
Remember how long it took to take down the cigarette industry?
Oh, dude, decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came down to a dame with big titties, Erin Brockovich.